Test.
I wanna die and let you give your life to me so I might live.
Test.
Share the hope you gave to me. I want to share the love that set me free. turn the
Singing, don't worry.
breaking, it's early morn. Taxi's waiting, he's blowing his horn. Already I'm so lonesome I could cry. So kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you'll wait for me. Hold me like you'll never let me go. I'm leaving on a jet plane. I don't know when I'll be back again. Oh babe, I hate to go. There's so many times I've let you down. So many times I've played around. I tell you now, they don't mean a thing. Every place I go, I think of you. Every song I sing for you. When I come back, I'll wear your wedding ring. So kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you'll wait for me. Hold me like you'll never let me go. I'm leaving on a jet plane. I don't know when I'll be back again. Oh babe, I hate to go. Now the time has come to leave you. One more time, let me kiss you, then close your eyes. I'll be on my way. Dream about the days to come when I won't have to leave alone. About the time I won't have to say. Kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you'll wait for me. Hold me like you'll never let me go. I'm leaving on a jet plane. I don't know when I'll be back again. Leaving on a jet plane. I don't know when I'll be back again. Leaving on a jet plane. I'll be back again. Oh babe, I hate to go.
If you would, please start making your way in the auditorium. Someone in the back turned the stage lights on. There's not too much glare out there, is there? Good afternoon. On behalf of the entire Kicklighter family, I want to welcome you to the celebration of life service for Catherine Kicklighter. The family thanks you for being here today. Your presence means so much to them in this, their time of sorrow. Also, they express their gratitude to everyone who has contacted them, all of the calls, the messages, social media posts, the meals, the hugs, the smiles, and most of all, the prayers. It has meant a great deal to them. So, thank you. Catherine Bernice Cody Kicklighter was born on November the 10th, 1961, to Betty and Randall Cody of Atlanta, Georgia. She passed from this life on June the 13th. She is preceded in death by both her parents. She leaves behind her husband, Barry Kicklighter, of 39 years, one son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter, Cody, Katie, and Audra Kicklighter, daughter and son-in-law, Tessa Kicklighter, and Jordan McKim, daughter, Alexi Kicklighter, and fiance, Eli Winter, daughter and son-in-law, Isabel and Mitchell Coleman. She is survived by one brother, sister-in-law, nephew, and niece, Scott, Brenda, Seth, and Anna Cody. If you would, please bow with me. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Thank you for bringing us into your family, for giving us the opportunity to share life with our sister, Kathy Kicklighter. Father, all of us in this room have been touched in some way by your faithful servant, and our hearts are heavy with grief and sorrow from her passing. Father, give us the solace we need today, tomorrow, and the days ahead. Especially be with Kathy's immediate family and bless them through these difficult times. God, you have said, blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. We are holding on to your promise that you will bless us with comfort as we mourn the loss of one we hold so dear. And Father, as we celebrate the life of Kathy, we give you the honor that your love can touch a heart so deeply that she's gone around spreading that love with all of us. In Jesus' name, amen. We are remembering and sharing our fond memories of our beloved wife, mother, sister, and good friend and mentor, Mrs. Kathy, Miss Kay, the one who found to be your ideal companion, the perfect yin to your yang, your soulmate. Miss Kathy, the mother that every one of your friends was envious of because she's the cool mother. The mother who loved you deeply, who sacrificed for your health and well-being. She was your educator, your mentor. She was your greatest cheerleader, encouraging you in your abilities and talents. We recollect those sweet, sweet memories of our dear friend. The quirky smile, the laughter, the deep, comforting hugs that had the power to dismiss the crisis we were experiencing. There's no way to quantify, tally, or know the impact of Kathy's good works. Kathy blessed so many young men and women. Young men and women in youth groups, theater groups, homeschool co-ops. How many have been encouraged? How many of us have had our burdens eased by her insightful words and prayers? Only as we take inventory within our own individual hearts and minds are we reminded of just how great an impact one individual can have upon us. The Kicklighters wanted to set aside some time where everyone is invited to share a special memory, a thought, an experience about Miss Kathy. So everyone is invited, and you're welcome to come to this microphone on the floor, or you're welcome to come up here to this podium and share what's on your heart. And if you find that too difficult, I can come to you with a microphone. Just raise your hand. But before we do that, Cody has prepared a video he'd like to share, and then he's going to say a short something another. He's going to surprise us all, including me. And after he's done, I will get back up here, say just a little bit, and then the floor will be yours. All right? So, Cody, if you would, show us the video.
who can take a nothing day and suddenly make it all seem worthwhile. Well, it's you, girl, and you should know it. With each glance and every little movement you show it. Love is all around, no need to waste it. You can have the town, why don't you take it? You're gonna make it after all. Love is all around, why don't you take it all? You're gonna make it after all.
All we have control of is today. And today was a great day.
If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. Listen. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Right now, right now.
I think I had always wanted to be a mother.
I get lost in your eyes, and I feel my spirits rise and soar like the wind. Is it love that I am in? I get weak in a glance. Isn't this what's called romance? And now I know, 'cause when I'm lost, I can't let go. I don't mind not knowing what I'm headed for. You can take me to the skies. It's like being lost in heaven when I am lost in your eyes. Oh.
Hello. I'm Cody. This is my wife, Katie. She's going to be possibly my interpreter. Yeah, so I had hoped in that video to get through her entire life, ambitiously cover kind of everyone's story that was in here. I thought maybe if I told her story and said everything I wanted to say in there, I wouldn't have to get up here and try to talk. But as you saw, I got stuck in the 90s. Can't get any farther. So, of course, there's so much more to say, and there's so much that I'm not going to be able to say. In fact, if I'm still reading this at this point, I'm doing a good job. So, I actually wanted to get up here just to talk about one major part of her life that was supposed to be in the video, which is her theater career and her drama students. In her life, she wrote and directed dozens and dozens of plays. And there are also skits, puppet shows, monologues, one acts, etc. And she said recently that
she realized her calling in life was to never be famous, rich artist, but it was to be a teacher and a mentor to her drama students. If you were one of those students, I'm sure you already know you were truly one of her other kids. Our mom wanted this to be just a joyful time of sharing. Anyone is welcome to come up and share a memory of her or a story, no matter how short and long. We invite you to come up. Thank you.
So I was looking at Facebook the day after, I believe, Kathy's passing, and I saw a post, and I said, that describes my feelings exactly. And so I thought, well, I may not be the only one. So I wanted to share with you Janice Enlow's post from Facebook, where she says, Kathy, thank you for being my friend, for laughing with me, crying with me, for accepting me as I am with all my flaws, for helping me grow, for helping me embrace change and welcome adventure. I'm excited for you now. As you move on to your greatest adventure. But I will miss you so much. And that precisely describes the way that I was feeling at the time. So again, if you would like to come to the mic on the floor or this podium, you're welcome to do so. And if you need me to bring a mic to you, just raise your hand, and everyone is welcome. Yes.
So this may be a mistake, but I'm going to try it. Danny's my wingman, and Katie was Cody's. So first I want to just thank everybody for being here.
We really want to be able to hear these cryings and tears here, getting all mushy and everything.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
She would have been honored and really loved this, because if you knew her, she didn't mind being the center of attention. So this would have been great. So she's here in spirit. So I wanted to kick us off and share two memories. A first memory that I have of Kathy. I'll get back to it.
It's a good one, so be patient.
Yeah. It's a good one.
I read the script, and it was good.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with that idea of public speaking, and you envision everybody naked. So here we are. One of the first ways I met Kathy was back at Harding University, where we went to college. I knew of her on campus. I'd seen her, thought she was cute, but I didn't really know her. And then I was living in an apartment off campus, and she had some friends who lived next door. And so we got to know each other a little bit better. And then one morning, I woke up, had to get to class, and Rooster and I were probably playing Michael Jackson Thriller album that morning. I think it had come out that week, so we were playing that. And so I opened my front door to the apartment, and popcorn covered my feet. So she had put newspaper on the outside of the door and filled it with popcorn. And I thought, she may be the one. So we did pranks back and forth. Rooster and I moved all of her furniture out of her house and put it on her front lawn. So it was, she turned everything in our apartment upside down when we went to Little Rock one week. So it was love at odd sight. The last memory actually was just shared yesterday by my daughter-in-law. So in the past, Katie, how long ago was this? So about 2 years ago, evidently, Kathy got upset with me, which we don't know what it was about, right? But we're pretty sure it wasn't my fault. And so she was upset, and so evidently she decided to take it out on my iPad. She found my iPad and threw it away. Later felt that maybe that was a little bit too far. Maybe she was stepping a little bit, reacting a little bit much, and went and got it, cleaned it off. I never knew anything until yesterday. But I should have guessed, right? From popcorn, iPad, it all fits.
You probably need to go ahead and apologize now for whatever it was.
Sorry. So please share your memories of her.
Boy,
Do you need a wingman as well?
probably. I had heard of the Kicklighters long before I met them because my husband went to Harding with them. And then one day at church, I finally got to meet them. And it was like friendship at first sight. Kathy was adventurous, and she made life fun. And I remember we were talking, and she was like, the kids were little. I have 4 kids. She had 4 kids about the same age. And she turned to me one day, and she's like, I'm thinking about homeschooling. And I thought, I would love to do that too. Let's do it together. And that started a relationship that spanned quite a few years. I would go to her house 2 to 3 times a week to homeschool all 8 of them. Well, it wasn't 8 by when it first started, but it eventually became 8 children that we were teaching. And then another memory I wanted to share with you was another day that she came up to me and she's like, there's a little house in Sonoy that has 1 room, it looks like, for rent. Would you consider coming with me and taking a look at that place? There are Artiscape ladies there. And so we went and looked at it, and within an hour, we knew we were going to rent it and start a business. And so we started the Artiscape. And that was another sweet adventure that Kathy was a part of. And Isabel, you were a big helper too. So anyway, I have been gone from this area for 12 years now and have not been back. Kathy did call me, must have been about 3-4 years ago. I was just talking to Barry a couple days ago, and she told me about her diagnosis, and one of the first things she said, she goes, "Maria, I know you're not going to approve of this, but I'm going to go through chemotherapy." And I told her, I said, even though I don't agree with it, I support you in that decision. It's yours to make. I wish now, in hindsight, that I would have spent more time talking to her, even though I was not nearby. But she really made a huge difference in my life. She gave me courage. She gave me companionship when I felt like no one was there to support me, and I supported her in her decisions too. We confided in one another, and we did a lot of things together, and you guys are precious to me, and I'm sorry I have been absent from your lives for the last 11, 12 years, but I love you all. Know that. Thank you.
We won't fight over it. Okay. I brought notes. It's not going to be that long, but I met this beautiful family when they came to church here. And Kathy was here for a while. And someone had told me that she was an artist, and we have a room called Kingdom Kids. And I approached her about painting it, so if you have a chance, it's still there. But she painted that, and that's how our friendship started. She was really dear to me. I haven't known her. When they went to church here, we were close, and then the kids, they lived out in the country, and I lived in a neighborhood, so I had suggested that she bring the kids over for Halloween, and so every year they came, and their costumes were always very interesting and very unique. And I just had one son, so it was nice for him to have someone to go with. So every year they came, and I always made the same thing: hot dogs and crescent rolls and baked beans, and they seemed to like it, and I'm glad, because that's what I served every year. But when they grew up and it was no more time for them to come trick-or-treating, it was really a sad day because I enjoyed them so much. Kathy was a really good person. I don't think she ever said a bad thing about anyone ever that I know of. I wished I could say the same about me, but she did inspire me to be a better person, and I'm still working on that. I'm still failing, but I'm still working on that. She always showed up at the hospital when I was sick. And a few years ago, I was on a ventilator, and I was really bad, and her white blood count was really low, but she came anyway. She wore a mask, and she came in anyway, and she came quite a few times while I was real ill, and lucky for me, God let me live. I love Kathy. I know that heaven is rejoicing, and they're having a party, and it's probably still going on, and it will be for a while, because she loved God and was a very good Christian. I'm going to miss her. She was really special, and I love her. I think that's all I have to say, and I love you guys.
Well, I don't have anything written down, so I don't know where this is going to go. We knew her as Catherine, and we were the Art Escape, and I'm here with several of those ladies. But I actually share something very special with her, and that's cancer. I am an ovarian cancer survivor, and in 2012, it was in 2008, is when I began my journey, and I met Catherine at the Art Escape. And she gave me something that I needed so desperately, and that was laughter, joy, and the will to fight and embrace a whole new world. And if you've ever had cancer and you survive it, then you sometimes feel a little guilty, because when she was diagnosed, I would have given anything to have taken that away from her, but I couldn't. But to see her fight and to enjoy life, and the crazy things we did with that group, oh my gosh, I'll never forget the night. We were painting at the veranda in Sanoa, and Kathy was never one to just let a few paintbrushes go. We had to get out and go roam the streets of Sanoa at midnight. She was quite the instigator. She was quite the prankster. And we followed her anywhere. I mean, just like the little Pied Piper. But she was just, the energy around this woman was such a blessing to all of us. I went to some of her plays, and I could look at the children and just see how much they would do anything for her. And the costumes, like you said, she was just so creative. So when God asked Catherine to heaven, he must have really had a project he needed to do, because I guarantee you, she will not let him down. And I can't wait to be there with her again. I too had kind of fallen out, Maria, from being with all the artists, and reconnected once again through our cancer. I'm battling again, but I have had the hope and my joy and love, and there is just something about Catherine Cody Kicklighter that will always be here. Thank you, Catherine. And never lose hope. Any of us, never lose hope, or Catherine will get you.
I have notes. I can't make it too quick, but I'll try. I have been friends with Kathy since I was 2 years old, and I'm 63. So that was a long friendship, and I'm not gonna look at y'all. When I think of Kathy, I think matching outfits on multiple occasions. Strawberry candy, cheese toast, Captain Crunch, 5 more minutes, school bus rides from Morrow to Norcross, trampolines, water hoses, and trash cans, church youth retreats, Camp in Agahee, Bible classes, Moreland Avenue Church of Christ, Terra Church of Christ, Lake Harbin Elementary, where we could actually walk to and from school if we wanted to. 1 year at Morrow, 5 years at GACS, chorus trips, her unbelievable talent in art, singing, the ugliest, funny little doll ever named J. Paulette. And if y'all find that doll, keep it. The tiniest little frog we found at Camp in Agahee with the longest name, Nakalula Falls. A weekend at her and Barry's in Gadsden when my son was a baby. A weekend at her and Barry's when they were in Woodstock when Cody was a baby. Our weddings, our children, Elvis, Graceland, Purple, Stately Oaks and hot apple cider, the Osmonds, Six Flags and the DeFrancos, The Sound of Music, the loss of Betty Randall and my dad, records on vinyl, they're back, talks about her health, her treatments, her surgeries, and her amazing outlook through it all. Her constant support of me when my husband's health was so bad in decline, especially in 2014 and 2020. Our long summer trip out west, way too many stories to tell there. Baking cakes, not having the right color food coloring, mixing them all together, and it looking like something in a baby's diaper, but Kathy's attitude was, we baked it, we're gonna eat it, just don't look at it. Mutilated lettuce, that's a story on its own, but my mom remembers the mutilated lettuce. And she said she would love to be here. She's coming up on 97, and Kathy was like another daughter to her. Two very short stories and I'll end. And I'll shorten the one of them. But when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was on bed rest for 20 weeks. I had to lay with my head down, feet up. I had IVs and monitors. I was not supposed to have phone calls, and I was not supposed to have visitors to risk of infection. Kathy called me, and she said, I know you're not supposed to have visitors, but I'm at Mom and Dad's. I'm leaving Cody with Mom and Dad. I'm bringing in Tessa. She was 5 months old. And I'm coming. She crawled up in the bed with me. The bed was like this. We turned Tessa the other way so the blood wouldn't run to her head. But we talked, we had a great time. And when they left, she said, you're gonna do this. And we did because of her. My daughter is now a mother. The last story I'll leave you with was when we went on a trip for, 6 weeks, Scott? Out west. It was all summer in a 28-foot motorhome. And it's when we were in Yellowstone. Kathy and I kept seeing the signs about the bears. Put the food up because of bears. Everywhere was warnings about bears, and we began to be a little fearful, especially when we were coming out of the KOA bathhouse and Scott was laying in wait to scare us and make us scream the remainder of the way back. But our bed, it slept 8. Our bed pulled down from the roof and it came down into front of the windshield. And we kept thinking, the bear's gonna be able to see us. So who's gonna sleep next to the window? Kathy's bright idea, we set the travel alarm every hour and switched sides. As we said, we loved each other, we would die for each other 1 hour at a time. I will carry her in my heart always. I love her as a sister, more than just a friend. And to her precious family, she is in your hearts also. And I saw this, and I sent it to Tessa last week. Those we love never truly leave us. There are things that death cannot touch. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Janice Sinlow, and I have microphonophobia. So there's not too many people I do this for except for Kathy. And I was going to say the whole line about seeing y'all in your underwear naked, but Barry already said that. And I just don't really think it's a good idea anyway. So a lot of what I would have said has been said. Susan, I know for a fact I could have been friends with y'all because I would have been right there with y'all the way. And I know why you have on purple nails, by the way. But I want to tell you what some of the things I have been thinking about Kathy. And Kathy reminds me of two women, both named Phoebe. In the Bible, in Romans chapter 16, the Apostle Paul talks about Phoebe, his sister in Christ. So that means a faithful believer in Jesus. He calls her a deacon of the church, and that means a servant, so someone who's hardworking and hospitable. And then he says that she was a benefactor of many people, which I feel like means she was probably generous and encouraging. And doesn't that sound like our Kathy? We've all talked about all of her talents, and I just really admired the way she used her talents and her resources just for such worthwhile purposes all the time. And she was just an encouragement to me. And I especially appreciated her empathy and all the positive ways that she influenced young people over the years. But can we all agree that Kathy might also be a little bit like Phoebe from the TV show Friends? I mean, she's always going to be herself. She's always going to get it done. She's going to be a great friend. And, in Phoebe's words, she could also be a little floopy. So she reminds me of that Phoebe, too, for her creativity and her adventurous spirit. Kathy helped me to think outside the box and to get outside my comfort zone. And then she was just always just so much fun. So among other things, we both loved music, and we went to quite a few concerts together. And in June 2021, we got to go see Donny Osmond together at the Fox Theater here in Atlanta. We were both about to turn 40, and I think it was sort of our, nostalgic goodbye to our youth kind of thing. And we even went to the stage door and stood around with all the other giggling 40-year-olds and squealed with delight when Donnie came out the stage door, and Kathy even got close enough to touch him, lucky girl. We didn't want that night to end because we were having a lot of fun, so I offered to go ahead and drive her all the way out to Harrelson to her house that they had just bought out there. And when I got out there, she says, "Why don't you come in and see the house?" And so we sat in her living room and we talked till 2 a.m. in the morning. It was so much fun until Barry stumbled in bleary-eyed and said, "You've got to go home, Janice." Apparently, David, my husband, had woken up in the middle of the night and couldn't find me and kind of panicked and didn't have Barry's phone number, so he called Kathy's dad in the middle of the night to get it and then called Barry, and so Barry said, "You've got to go home." So just like a teenager, I got in trouble for not coming home on time and for worrying the folks, But you just never knew what was going to happen with Kathy. When Kathy was around, it was always an adventure. But I cherish all those memories, and I cherish the adventures we had together. And I'm just going to tell you about two real briefly. I forgot my glasses. I even drew a picture of my glasses on the paper, didn't I? So I wouldn't forget them, and then I did. In 2002, I got a call from Kathy. "Hey, it's a long story, but I've been invited to be interviewed for a TV show that Erin Brockovich is doing. It's her pilot episode of Final Justice, and it's about a friend of mine. And so I'm going to ask our friend Susan if her husband can give you a buddy pass because you're going to need to fly with me there tomorrow." Okay. So we did. We went there. We went to West Monroe, Louisiana, and I got to watch a TV crew at work and watch Kathy, getting filmed in several scenes. And then by the end of the day, she started getting laryngitis, and so they almost couldn't even finish the interview, but, they made it happen. She also took me to Beaton Gardens, and there's some gift booklets out in the back, and those gardens were the inspiration for several of the pictures in those gift books out there. So we had a nice afternoon seeing that beautiful gardens. And then on Sunday, we went to church at White's Ferry Road Church of Christ in West Monroe, which is the church they used to go to when they lived there. That's where Duck Commander Phil Robertson, I don't know if y'all know who he is, but that's where he attends. And so his son Alan preached that day. So it was fun, got to meet a lot of our friends, and it was just, a fun spur-of-the-moment adventure. And I really enjoyed it. So then in 2019, I get a phone call from Kathy. hey, I've signed up to work at a children's camp in Hell's Kitchen in New York, and they need more volunteers, so I need you to sign up and go with me. So I did. I thought, woo, okay, it's Phoebe and Rachel, loose in New York. I'm probably more like Monica, but I didn't want to be Monica. I wanted to be Rachel, and Kathy let me be Rachel. Why not? Sure. So we took off, well, no, actually, Kathy broke her ankle about the time that I got my non-refundable ticket to go to New York. And I went, what are we going to do now? But she wanted to stick to the plan. So we did. We flew to New York. And we had to stay in dorm rooms that were 4 flights up. And we had to go down to the basement to the lunchroom and to the bathrooms. Kathy was having to use a scooter that you sit on and then you push with your good leg. Or she'd have to strap a peg leg kind of contraption to her knee and get around like that with crutches. And it was just a very grueling week for her. It was just hard all the way around. But she was teaching art to the kids, and she never complained. She was so brave. And it was a hard week for all of us, but with Kathy's example and her can-do spirit, it kind of kept it in perspective for all the rest of us. She was just a very good example. We had a lot of fun. She had told me, God knew that I was going to need you. That's why, you ended up going with me. But I think that God knew that I needed to be there to be influenced by Kathy and to learn from her and to grow. So even after the trip was over, Kathy would call me every once in a while and say, hey, Rachel. And I think she just did that to remind us of our good times and to put a smile on my face. But I also think that she may have, psychologically just thought, that's going to remind Janice that you just have to have the courage, and life can be just whatever you make it if you have that courage. And, Kathy had courage, and she had a good life. In December of this last year, 2023, David and I went to a Michael W. Smith concert, and it was a Christmas concert, but he sang one of his signature songs. I bet some of you can guess which one I'm thinking about. And all of a sudden, I just got panicky. Kathy was in the hospital that week, and she had sepsis and pneumonia, and she was getting infections more frequently, and to be honest, I wondered how much longer we'd have her with us. And it came to my mind that someday I might be reading the words to that song in a situation like this. The song is called Friends by Michael W. Smith. Packing up the dreams God planted in the fertile soil of you, I can't believe the hopes He's granted means a chapter of your life is through. But we'll keep you close always. It won't even seem like you've gone, because our hearts, in big and small ways, will keep the love that keeps us strong. And friends are friends forever if the Lord's the Lord of them. And a friend will not say never, because that welcome will never end. In the Father's hands, we know that a lifetime is not too long to live as friends. So I just wanted to say to Kathy, my sister in Christ and my partner in adventures, just thanks for being our friend.
I wasn't going to do this, but Kathy would kill me if I didn't. And she would always make me do things I didn't want to do, like most of you, apparently. We went through a lot of things together. I met her in '80 at college. And sorry about the popcorn and the upside-down furniture and all that. I might have helped a little. But Kathy made me braver. I was never brave, and I was never comfortable in my own skin, and I'm still not really. But she even convinced me to go talk to the dean and let her walk across the stage at graduation, even though she didn't have the credits. You want me to do what? But I loved her, and so I did it. It was things like that all the time. And I'm not going to tell a lot of college stories, but these mostly happened during the time period we were in college. And some of them are kind of funny and crazy. One time we were in Florida at Panama City in a really cheap motel. We went there to go to the beach and to go to church wearing sundresses. And we did both of those things, but first we were in the motel resting from the drive, and we were kind of taking a nap until we smelled smoke. And we were kind of like, why do we smell smoke? And then we looked over, and the air conditioner was on fire. There was a window unit. It was on fire. This is typical of all the Kathy adventures. There's always something totally insane that you would never expect, that shouldn't have happened, but of course did. And we did go to church in Florida. We went to Louisiana one time, and we visited, I think you were already there at school. We went to visit friends that she knew from Louisiana, and we went to Monroe, and we went to that same church that you mentioned earlier. But then our car broke down on the way back to Arkansas, and we just stood on the side of the road, and Kathy says, well, if we look really cute, somebody will come by. Somebody did. One time we were in Atlanta at the mall, and we were walking down the upper level past a bank, and Kathy said, you know, that person looks really suspicious. What if they were a bank robber? So we just kept walking. It's like, yeah, sure. The next thing we knew, somebody knocked her down, knocked me up against the wall, was running over us, running over everybody, went down the escalator, running at top speed. So on the news, there was this bank robbery that night at the mall. That really happened. Yeah. We did a lot of things. One time we were walking in New York City on Wall Street, and there was scaffolding. And Kathy walked too close to the scaffolding, and she ripped her pants from the waist to almost the knee. Here we are in New York City. Well, we were staying in Staten Island, and we were in Manhattan then, and so it wasn't that easy to go change. And she was really like holding herself together. And so we looked up, and Trinity Church was right in front of us. And she said, maybe the nuns will help us. So we walked into Trinity Church and asked the nuns to help us. And they took us to the sewing room and gave us needle and thread. And we went to another room with all the saints real big on the wall. And Kathy said, I have to take off my pants in front of the saints. Would you just kind of stand in front of me while I take off my pants? Sure, Kathy, I'll do that. Why not? Yeah, that really happened. We also went to church in New York together. We went to church everywhere together, 6 or 7 states at least. I don't know. We did it a lot. So another time, we were, the first time, I guess, I went to Georgia to see her. She says, we're going to go eat barbecue. I said, I'm so excited. Barbecue. I'm from Texas, so I was really excited. So we walk to get barbecue, and I'm looking at the menu, and I said, I don't understand. And I kept looking. I said, I don't understand. Where's the beef? And she said, beef? It's barbecue. I said, but I don't understand. Where's the beef? And she said, well, we eat barbecue pork. What do you eat? And I said, we eat beef. And that's how I found out about barbecue pork. Who knew it was a thing? We had so many stories like that. And we sewed Christmas stockings in Texas. And one time we were on the way from Arkansas to Texas. She was going home with me. And we were driving on the new flyover in Little Rock. And we got to the very topmost part of the flyover, and the car died. And there was a tornado in front of us. And the radio said there were tornadoes behind us, and we didn't know what to do. And so we were standing there, and a police officer came by and said, "What are you doing in a tornado on top of the flyover?" Like, the car died. So some tow truck came, and really sketchy people took us to a really sketchy gas station. They towed the car, and we weren't real smart, and we gave them all the cash we had and begged them to take a check for the difference. We called my dad, but he said, "I can't talk to you. I got to get your mom in the bathtub. There's a tornado." Because there were tornadoes all the way from my house in Texas, all the way in Little Rock, and heading towards Searcy. There were trees in the road, and we finally made it. And my parents were alive and everything, and we went to church in Texas, and that was good. But there was this one time we were coming through Tennessee, and we were real anxious for the summer. I lived with her one summer in Morrow with her parents. And I was driving at the time, and I got stopped for speeding. And Kathy leaned across me to talk to the officer and said, "Sir, I just want to know, is this going to go to make better roads, this money from this fine?" And I'm like, and she just struck up a conversation with the officer that was writing me a ticket. He told her that no, they stopped all the out-of-state people going through town. It was a speed trap for that very purpose, and all the money was going to the sheriff's pockets. I don't know if it's true, but that's what he told her. Then he confiscated my license. But Kathy said, "Don't worry, I would have been going the same speed. We'll work and we'll pay off the ticket so you can get your license back." So a month later, after we had worked long enough, we sent all the money we had made that month to get my driver's license back. We have never been to church in Tennessee. Not one time have we together been to church in Tennessee. Lots of other states, but not Tennessee. I will tell you one thing that kind of sums up a lot of the attitude with Kathy. After that tornado on the bridge, we were really hungry and had no food because we foolishly gave it all to the guy at the gas station. We were really hungry, and we were driving along, and we didn't know if we'd make it, and it was real slow. And Kathy said, "It's okay, because we've got a box of lemon coolers." The little white cookies that taste like lemon. She goes, "It's okay, we got lemon coolers." And that was kind of her attitude all the time. It didn't matter what disaster struck. We got lemon coolers or something equivalent to make it all good and happy. And I just have a lot of fond memories. And I've seen Kathy, since then several times in Texas and Georgia. And but I just always think about all those times and the way that she made me better and braver, and look on the good side and do something you would never think of doing. And it sounds like that all of you have those same stories to tell. So thank you.
First of all, I don't do talking in front of people, so just bear with me. I have no notes. I feel like I'm in a Thelma and Louise movie, listening to everything that everybody has talked about. My journey with Catherine was not that long. I can't really tell you the year I met her, but I remember telling my husband for my birthday that year I wanted to have an art class. I didn't know if I could draw or not. My daddy drew, but that didn't mean I could. He bought me a gift certificate for the Art Escape. Little did my husband know, he thought that was going to be 1 or 2 lessons. It turned into years of lessons. And I've got all these paintings around my house. But the one thing aside from that is how she touched me. I can't really put into words the closeness I feel to her. I didn't know all the family. I knew Isabel because she was our go-getter. She went and emptied our water jugs, and she emptied our whatever. She cleaned our brushes. And I knew Barry, and I had met Cody at one of her plays. I have since met Tessa, and I've been trying to send little messages to them because I know it's very hard on them. And I said to her, you will never forget your mom. We will never forget Catherine. But you will always have her right here. You will see her in things, in places, in people. So take that love. She adored you kids. You were her life. You were her husband. Always a smile. I've never seen or known anybody that had a smile for everybody she saw. Everybody. So I take her with me. I will keep her with me. The 5 of us ladies would meet her when she got where she couldn't get around good. We met her once a month for lunch at Broadway Diner. That was something I looked forward to every month. We could be who we wanted to be. We laughed. She still had that caring. She took care of us. We tried to take care of her. God took care of all of us. I can only imagine what the welcoming committee did when she crossed over. Seeing her dad and just always a smile. We'll miss her. We'll always love her. And you will always be part of my life, even if your name is Joanna. Tessa understands that. But I love you. I'm here if you need me. But your mom will never be forgotten. I promise you.
Hey, sweethearts. I'm Catherine's aunt. My sister was her mother. But I have to tell this because I am not a public speaker and I didn't want to speak at all. But I think Barry needs to know this. I lived in California for 4 years in San Francisco, and they came to see me. And Kathy wanted to go to this outlet store. Do you remember that, Barry? We went to the outlet store, and he was like all men sitting up in a chair somewhere, and we're spending our time running around the store, and she's just filling her cart up. And I finally said, Kathy, you're not going to buy all that, are you? She says, don't worry. She said, Barry's going to tell me I got to put something back, and I'm going to put this back. You didn't know that, did you? And then just the other story I'll share, because it's about 4 years ago, we were going to the beach. I think that's where she got the septic, and they had to meet Barry halfway, and he took her to the hospital. From Myrtle Beach to Aiken, they met him, and he took her on to the hospital. But before that, she had driven over in Randall's car, which probably needed some help. But she parked it, and of course, when she had to go to the hospital, her car's still sitting in. We live in Greer, and they're Greenville. Her car's still sitting there, and so I don't know. Was it a month at least? I don't know how long it sat there, but at any rate, I took it to have the oil changed, and my son-in-law Eric washed it, and I think got wiper blades or something. I don't know. We did a few things. So at any rate, she called, and I told her, I said, you know, when you get ready, we can kind of meet you or bring it to you. And I think my daughter Lynn finally ended up meeting Mary and Kathy, and they got the car halfway. But I told her what all we had done, and she says, oh, thank you. I'll park mine over there next week. So at any rate, I loved her very much.
My name is Jared. I'm one of the Stage Right alumni, and I feel like I'm going to get up here and I'm going to hear her yell project from the back somewhere. I knew her, I think I was probably the only one who knew her as Barbie, and she referred to me exclusively as Ken, and I think that's because one of the first shows that I was in, Tessa probably put about 2.5 pounds of gel into my head, and she said that I looked like a Ken doll, and she just called me Ken from then on. But Miss K created such a safe space for like wild teenage emotions, I guess. And looking back on it, I never realized just how unconditional her love was for every one of the kids who was in there. And yeah, just created a really special space for all of us weird kids to be ourselves and enjoy each other's company and be inspired by her strangeness.
You'll notice Jared and I did not have to imagine y'all in your underwear because we had a theater director. One of the most incredible things about being part of the SRTC group was the Circle of Love. Our big rehearsal, we'd go to this camp out in the middle of the woods, and after practicing the whole play through about 80 times, we'd all go out to the campfire, and she would pick each person, and everyone else would say something about what that person meant to them, and I actually made a patch to kind of represent that of the 2 chairs by the fire, because there could be a bunch of teenagers around there, but for just that moment, there was just you and that other person. And I have all these safety pins along here because for the 7 years I knew her, she created a place of safety for all of us weird kids to be ourselves and to be weird on a stage and get high school credit for it. So that's who Miss K was for us. And this is kind of one big circle of love, and I'm glad that there's so many people to speak for her.
I'm Ann. I was also one of the students at Stage Right, and Miss K was like family to me. She acted like another mom to me. She, like Jared and Kristen said, she created a safe space for all of us. You could laugh, you could cry, you could just be yourself. And she was the first person that ever made a safe place for me, where I felt like I could truly be myself and I felt unconditionally loved by others than just my family. And Miss K was amazing for that. I always called her a kindred spirit because she reminded me of Anna Green Gables. And she had a nickname for me. She always called me her little fairy child because I refused to grow up. So I would always say that me and her lived in Neverland together because we both acted like children sometimes and refused to grow up. And so I always loved her because we could be so crazy and silly together. But one of my favorite things that she ever told me was when we were on retreat one time. We were all walking around the lake, and there was a group of us girls walking with her, and she started talking about what she would do if she was kidnapped and how we should take care of being kidnapped. And, some of us who were talking would be like, oh, we'd scream and kick them and run away. No, Miss K told us, she said, if I was kidnapped, she said, I would just let them grab me. And then I would just stare them down. And then I would start singing a show tune. And And she said just as crazy as she could. And she always sang the song. She said her song was No Business Like Show Business. And she made us all come up with a song one retreat and had us all sing our song and do what we would do if she would come up and try to grab us and pretend that we were getting kidnapped. And she would tell us to sing our song. And she'd start singing and she'd just be wide-eyed and crazy looking, singing No Business Like Show Business. And I will never forget that because she was like no one else I have ever known. And I will always love her.
So I'm another one of the theater people that grew up. It's weird because I grew up calling her Mrs. Kicklighter, and then it's like, I can call her Kathy. I'm going to. It's going to be weird, but I'm going to work through it. But so the group that I was a part of that a few people are here for was the Masters Academy of Fine Arts. So Cody's one of my oldest friends. I know, like for me, 20 years is a lot. Hearing a lot of stories, how long people knew the people, it's nothing. But I'm going to hold on to that. It's a lot of time for me. But in the group, so being friends with Cody, my parents started to connect with the Kicklighters, started to hang out, which as a 15, 16-year-old, it's like, you'd hear, hey, I'm hanging out with Cody and Max, another one of our friends, and our parents are all hanging out. We're like, why? That's weird. But, as we've developed and as, we've grown up, seeing that friendship and seeing that, connection, how that's held over the years has been great. So we're, in retrospect, very happy that kind of came up through our friendship. But in Masters Academy, MAFA, however you want to call it, she was, Kathy was she was my personal favorite director. We would kind of go through a lot of different plays, a lot of different directors, and she was always one that whenever it was like, okay, she's leading this, like, yes. It's going to be great because she was really fun to work with. She was really creative, as everyone's already said. She wrote plays, she directed them, she was able to choreograph things really well. But it was always a really fun time, and she was always just made it really great to work for her. But she also was able to step in when it's like, okay, this is going off the rails, this is a problem now, and kind of dial things back. So the one story in that I'll say is, every year we change things up a little bit. So some years we do a play where everybody's in, sometimes we do a couple different things. So this one year we're doing a couple different things. So Cody and our mutual friend Max were in a play that they were leading together. It's kind of a one-act play, and I was headlining another one. And my character was this French hypochondriac. And I decided to take my inspiration from a movie called Talladega Nights, which I really liked at the time, but there's a French character in there that speaks with the French accent that is not really a French accent, way over the top. And I decided, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make it a little bit more each time. And I remember there was one, I think like 3 rehearsals in, she cut me off midline, and she said, all right, everyone else, because this was like, there were 5 or 6 other people in this one act that had to watch me. In retrospect, I'm like, oh my God, they had to watch me do this. Like, oh, geez, this guy. But she cut me off. She said, okay, everybody else, you get the rest of the hour, hang out, do whatever you want. Noah, here's the script. Go downstairs. You're going to go into this room by yourself, and you're going to rehearse and do it with a realistic, you're going to do it normally. All right. So I'd hit the limit of there. But she had that ability to, really be that balance of it's fun, it's great, but also like when we need to get stuff done. And yeah, so she was always, anytime I got to work with her, anytime I got to do anything with her, in Masters, anytime I was over hanging out with the families where they came over, for New Year's Eve or something like that, it was always fantastic. Always looked forward to seeing her. And yeah, just in my drama past there, she's definitely one of the brightest spots.
Hello. I'm a little taller. I'm not going to mess with it. A little bit of feedback. So this is my sister. the other Catherine Kicklighter. I'm up here, I was coming up here firstly as a student, a theater and art student of Kathy's. She's just been a huge inspiration to me as a person. Her vision for life and the way that she looked at the world inspired me through her children mainly and through her teachings as a student, but she's just so effortlessly cool. I mean, you look at this picture of her and she's just like, look at that. Like, I mean, that's her essence though. Like, that's who she was. And her kids have that naturally. Her son, Cody, is one of my very best friends in the whole world. So I've gotten to truly know Mrs. Kicklighter through her son, Cody, one of her greatest loves in her life. And I'm so grateful that she was able to share that love with me and share someone that she had poured so much of her life into, because I got to know Mrs. Kicklighter so much just through her children and seeing what she poured into her children and just connecting with her through that. Every time that I would get to see Mrs. Kicklighter, it was awesome because she was truly the cool mom that we talked about earlier in this service. Like, she was the cool mom. Always, we could come to her with any troubles. We could be the troubles, and she would always handle us very calmly and with care. Never gave us a hard time. I was a troublemaker student, so she always was nice to me, and that made me feel welcomed. That's something I wanted to touch base on as well. She drove 90 minutes each way, so one way to our school to teach us. So that was 3 hours a day each time she wanted to teach us. That is a sacrifice of life. She sacrificed herself and her time to teach us kids, and there's nothing that can replace that type of sacrifice. We talk about actions speaking louder than words, and to drive and sacrifice 3 hours of your day when you're a parent of 4 children, to do that for other children, to inspire them, it truly is something that I can look at as an example to how I want to live my life as an adult and as a parent. So again, another example that I'm grateful from Mrs. Kicklighter for. I call her Mrs. Kicklighter because I'm a teacher, but I'm also here with my sister who's married to Cody. She's Mrs. Kicklighter is also the grandmother of my niece, and watching my niece grow up has been incredible because she looks just like her. This portrait, I was stunned when I saw this portrait. It looks just like my sister's daughter, Audra. I just see it, especially the cheeks, right? Oh my gosh. Oh man, so watching this little girl grow up, this little Audra grow up, I can see Mrs. Kicklighter as well. She's taller now, oh gosh. And oh gosh, that's been the greatest joy too, seeing the love of having a granddaughter in her eyes. I mean, blown away to see just the love and the adoration that Mrs. Kicklighter had for her grandbaby. That is truly one of the most powerful loves that I've ever seen in my life. And I'm brokenhearted that that journey has ended on this earth, but I know that the family will be reunited again. One thing I know about Mrs. Kicklighter as well is that she loved her mommy and her daddy a lot, and now she gets to be with them, and she's not suffering with them anymore, and she can be at peace with them, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm bending over, it's a little hard, I just didn't want to mess with the microphone, but I'm just super grateful for Mrs. Kicklighter and the influence that she's had on my life, my sister's life, our family's lives. She will truly be missed.
In the 20 years that I've known her, she's been all the things that everyone has said. But these last 4 have been really special. She's been honey these last 4.5 years, and watching her be a honey has been unlike anything else. It's been a very magical time, and she's just brought so much light and joy into my daughter's life, and they have such a special relationship and special bond. And we were out in the West Coast for the first year of her life, and when we brought her back, we moved in with Kathy and Barry for a time, and just those mornings of them swinging together on the front porch, singing songs, reading books, just developed such a close bond between them. Audra loves to sing, she loves books, she loves to tell stories just like her honey did. And these past few days, as we kind of been looking back, watching videos and watching a lot of videos of them together, it's been so sweet. One of my very favorites, just kind of the culmination of their loves together and the time they enjoyed together, singing, reading, praying. Audra was about 2 years old at the time, and it was one of her first times telling her honey a story. And she was just pulling characters out, and there was no plot or anything, but she was doing her best to have big emotion, and Honey was reacting in shock and awe. And at the end of this very long-winded story that Honey's been really invested in, instead of saying the end, she said, "Amen." That's what she learned from Honey. She learned to pray. She learned to tell stories. And we will forever miss having her in our life.
So my name is Brenda Cody. I'm married to Kathy's brother, Scott. And this is going to be short and sweet to the point because I can't really remember what I was going to say. And so I first met Kathy and Betty and Randall in December of 1988. Scott and I were both living in Memphis, and we came to Atlanta to let them know that we were going to get married. And so that was the first time I met them. And Kathy became the sister that I never had. And we just developed this bond with each other where we could go for a month and not talk to each other. We could pick up the phone and it'd be like we never left off. And my daughter, Anna, is born on Tessa's birthday. And her and Alexi are 11 days apart, and Anna was very sick as a baby. She's adopted. And we came to Atlanta from Montgomery, where Anna was born, and we stayed with Betty and Randall, and Kathy, and Alexi was a newborn. And we bonded over that time, and you all know what a loving person Kathy was. And she was on child number 3, and I was really on child number 1. And the guidance and the help that she gave me with Anna. We always went on family vacations every year with the Codys. That was a tradition to go to Vogel State Park in North Georgia, something Betty and Randall had been doing for years. And so I cherish that time that we got to go to Vogel together every year. And that was important to Kathy, for family to be together as much as possible. She had on her bucket list a wish. She could see the writing on the wall. She knew what was coming, but she had on her bucket list that everybody in the family would be together one last time during the holidays. And so we made that happen. And I found us a cabin in Gatlinburg, and there were 15 of us in that cabin together for 5 days. We went into Gatlinburg maybe once, but if you know the Kicklighters, you better sure love to play games. And because we play games. And so that was a very special time that we could all be together for that time, knowing what was coming. I got to come to Atlanta in March to spend a week with Kathy. And I said, I'll just come and, if you want me to clean out a closet, I'll clean out a closet, or if you want me to do something, I'll do it. And so she said, come get me organized. Well, a week isn't enough time. And so I tend to be OCD. I have OCD tendencies. And Kathy is a free spirit and a fly by the seat of her pants. And so I came to Atlanta, and circumstances didn't work out. Anna ended up in the hospital. But Kathy was the type that when I was focused on a project, when we were trying to get Randall's house ready to sell, and I would be very laser focused, and she would tell me, take a break, sit down. But and then on the other hand, I would tell her when she was off in La La Land somewhere, let's bring it back, you know? And so that's just the way we were. And so I will forever cherish that friendship that we had. And she had a great longing and a great yearning for heaven. But she had that yearning also to be with family as long as possible. And I think she lasted longer than what we thought she would, because she wanted to be here for that family. But that family will always be here, and they know that she will always be there with them. So knowing Kathy Kicklighter was the greatest joy in my life.
Danny's going to bring this to a close. I just wanted to thank you all for this. This has been very cathartic. These are all wonderful stories about Kathy, but before you forget, remember the iPad. Let's keep it in perspective.
I'm the rebel of the college group, so when he said bring it to a close, I said, no, we're not. So we are representing our college buds. We went to Harding together with Barry and Kathy, and we actually went on a trip with Barry and Kathy, and we were at the outlet mall with you on that trip.
You took us to eat Chinese food.
You took us to the top of a building at a beautiful restaurant. And we had, and I'm from South Mississippi, so I eat just country food. And that was really fancy food that day for me. They brought this seafood in a pot, and everything imaginable was in that kettle. Some of it I had to ask what I was eating, but I just remember things with suckers on the bottom and all that. But I just remember you doing that for us, and it was really fun. But as a fellow educator, I was a teacher for a long, long time, and Kathy and I shared the love of children and students together. And the thing that she taught me was, and the thing that one of the many things I appreciated about her was when we would talk about our students together, she always it was just instinctive in her to see the children, each child, for who that child was. And she had a very beautiful way of making someone on the fringes be a part, which made me be a better teacher. And I will always be appreciative of that. She had a big influence in my life about that, and something I wanted to carry back into the classroom. We talked about what we wanted our students to feel at the end of the day. That was important to both of us. And I think one of the things I loved about Kathy is that she wanted to make the most of her days. She wanted to make everything beautiful. She wanted to make you feel beautiful. She wanted you to laugh, and she wanted to be creative in her day. And one of my favorite memories was when we came in January, the end of January. Our friend group, girls, flew down. We were sitting on her couch and we were crocheting together. She was working on a project And she said, I'm having trouble, knowing what to do at the end of this stitch. So we sat and crocheted and just laughed and about just all kinds of things. And we just will remember her as just she was teaching when she wasn't meaning to be teaching. And I loved that about her. But she wanted to just soak it in. And I'll just appreciate that about her.
Actually, our very first date was with Barry and Kathy. They were already married, and they came to Dallas, and we went to Huey Lewis and the News. I didn't even know who Huey Lewis was, but they were all secular music listeners, and so they had it. But what I would say about what I love about today is that from every walk of life, whether it was the Art Escape or Kathy's sweet aunt, or the kids in the art club, or friends from church, or friends from college, every single person felt that same love. And that's a very special, unique treat. For me, I met Kathy early on, but then we raised our families and kind of drifted apart. And so the most time I spent with Kathy was with these girls, Connie and Leanne, Vicki and I. And most of the time when I saw Kathy, it was honestly when she had been at a sick point, or she was a little bit better, or we saw her at homecoming, but really we came a couple times when she was sick. And I think what was special about that was we were there to encourage her, but we were always encouraged by her ability to see, to have the joy. And it makes me think of Philippians 4:4-9, where the Bible talks about having the peace that passes understanding. And I think Kathy lived in that peace all the time. And also rejoice in the Lord always. I say it again, rejoice. That's the joy that we felt. And we got that from her. So though I'm sad that I didn't have some more of these experiences maybe that y'all had, I'm so thankful that we were able to come and be with her at different times, these friends from Harding and the girl trips. And I just want to say to you kids, like other people have said, she loved you so much. She talked about you all the time, and Barry too. And we've enjoyed so
Sometimes
much.
not favorably.
For Barry, just for Barry, not the kids. But we've enjoyed so much just being with you kids and kind of meeting you and having a little bit more time with you. And I love the free spirit and how everybody embraces that in your family. That's not necessarily me. I'm not an artsy-fartsy person. So I love seeing that in y'all, and I'm so thankful to just see a little bit of your mom in each one of you. That's been sweet this weekend.
Sorry, Danny. I got a tale of triumph and a tale of defeat. You may not know this, but I was the best man in your parents' wedding. She still married Barry. I told myself I wasn't going to try to be funny, so that's all you get. But you may not know that at Harding University, we have a thing called Spring Sing. Your father was actually on Victoria's team that beat your mother's sister club. And so he has that artsy-fartsy creative thing in him as well. He was in the front line. He was one of our better dancers. The rest of us were stuck in the back. But that's the tale of triumph. Got your back, buddy. It's not all about Kathy. But then it is. The tale of defeat, one of the best worship services I ever experienced was in November. We had gathered for the Harding homecoming and a TNT reunion. And we sat around the breakfast table Sunday morning, eating breakfast, laughing, enjoying company, trying to figure out about when we're going to go to church. And we broke out into a spontaneous prayer session for your mother. It was the most powerful worship service I've ever been in. We wrestled with God on behalf of her. And even though Barry thinks she liked to be the center of attention, she did not want that center of attention. She didn't want us to feel sorry for her because she loved life. And the stories we've heard today talked about how she loved others. It's the story of Christ. That's what gave her hope. She loved you. She loved God. And she loved God, a God who loves you more than she could love you. And he'll be there for you. To honor Kathy is for us to love God and walk as he did, loving others. That's the Kathy I knew. It's the Kathy I loved. That's the Kathy I shared life with. She will be missed. But well done, good and faithful servant. I can't wait to be with her again.
So in going over the things that we wanted to accomplish today, I was speaking with Barry and Cody, and I said, so we want to open the floor up for anyone and everyone to be able to share. Oh, yes, we want that. And I said, so, and I'm going to say a few words afterwards. And they said, yeah, but keep it short. And I said, so what do you want? Do you want me to kind of, guard the podium here and make sure nobody goes over? Oh, no. We want people to feel free to speak and say what's on their hearts. And I said, well, what about, is there a time that we need to cut off? No, we don't need to. Don't cut anyone off. Everyone should feel free to speak. I said, but I've not been able to speak or preach in a few years. Yeah, but keep it short. So I was prepared to keep it short, and so I will keep it shorter. Thank you so much for sharing your heart this afternoon. It's exactly what the family wanted and expected, and they appreciate it, and I'm sure that you have more stories that you would like to share. And we're about to break here and partake of some refreshments, and we would love for you to continue telling your memories at that time as well. One thing I do want to say, and it's going to take 35 minutes, so if you need to, I want to say one thing, and just keep in mind that I'm going to say this one thing, and then I'm going to conclude. I had a few more things in between here that I wanted to say, but I'm going to cut that out. Psalm 23, verse 4, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Focus in on those words where David said, yea, though I walk through. Please don't park yourself in sorrow. Go through the shadow. It's a dark shadow right now. I know it is. Rely upon God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. Jesus said, those who mourn will be comforted. Lay hold on that promise. There is a grieving process, a process. Go through it. Trust in God. Trust in Jesus. the Holy Spirit, and lean upon all of these when you need us. We're here. Lastly, what I wanted to say, and again, there's a big section here missing, is we haven't begun to mention that Jesus invites all that are weary to come to Him, that He sent a comforter, an advocate, the Holy Spirit. Or we haven't even begun to mention that He was tempted in all points, just so that you and I would feel comfortable in coming to Him in our time of need. All of this and much more await you and I as we open the pages of this book, the Bible. So many times, in instances like this, people wrote things and said, "Comfort one another with these words." Seek comfort here. Let the words of this book bring comfort to those of us who call out to God, to the God of the universe, as Abba, Father. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for everyone that found courage to come before this audience and share their heart, to share their memories, to share the fun times that they had with Kathy, Miss Kay. We pray, Father, that it has been a celebration. We are so thankful that we get to celebrate this life that was well lived. And from all the stories, it certainly was. Be with the Kicklighter family and comfort them. Take them through their grief. And always, always use those of us, family members, friends, to encourage them and carry them through it if need be. Thank you for Jesus. In His name we pray. Amen. Again, stay around, partake of the refreshments. We're so glad that you're here. Dismissed.